Today, we'll be getting into the latest with Brock Lesnar vs. Roman Reigns storyline, Naomi vs. Sonya Deville storyline, and the never-before-seen tribute for Brodie Lee from Bray Wyatt. Let's start things off with Bray's never-before-seen tribute to the late great Brodie Lee. Bray Wyatt's final storyline and final match in WWE was full of last-second changes, and one of those changes prevented everyone from seeing this tribute that Bray Wyatt and Jason Baker had created for Brodie Lee. When Bray Wyatt returned as the burnt version of The Fiend, there were a few unreleased renders of this version of The Fiend that appeared to show him with a black cloth over his head and this long dark jacket. The only time we actually saw this jacket was during The Fiend's cinematic transformation scene during his WrestleMania 37 entrance. That brief scene saw the burnt version of The Fiend walk around with the jacket on, but it disintegrated as he continued to walk and restore himself to full health. But what we never knew was that there was so much more significance to that jacket, especially towards the back of it, that we never really had the chance to look at until now, that is. Jason Baker, close friend of Bray Wyatt and creator of mostly everything in the Firefly Funhouse, took to Twitter to share this message about the never-before-seen WrestleMania 37 jacket. He had this to say on Twitter, quote, "Trivia fact, Windham and I worked several tributes to Brodie Lee into the burnt Fiend jacket that was unfortunately never truly seen outside of WrestleMania transformation video. Tributes included his Bludgeon Brothers mask, his WWE NXT flannel pattern, and more." End quote. So like Jason said, you can see the vintage flannel shirt that Brodie Lee made famous in WWE during his time as Luke Harper. You can also see the Bludgeon Brothers mask, which was the tag team that Brodie and Eric Rowan formed after splitting from Bray Wyatt. And there's even more hidden details and tributes there to Brodie Lee. So it was such an amazing gesture and tribute jacket that a lot of work went into, but we unfortunately never had the opportunity to fully see and appreciate it. Bray didn't get to use the jacket, but he still found a way to pay tribute to Brodie Lee during his last WWE match by throwing in Brodie's "yeah" chant in the middle of the match. As far as the latest on Bray Wyatt, it appears that he's now a few weeks into the production of his first feature film, so everyone will be on edge of their seats waiting to see how that turns out. After a questionable and shaky segment last week, the Naomi and Sonya Deville storyline got back on track this week in a major way. Naomi storms into Sonya's office towards the end of the show and once again demands a one-on-one match with Sonya Deville. Sonya says that Naomi can get the match, but down the line, whenever she feels like taking the suit off. Sonya said that if she ever has her ring gear on, that's different, but as long as she has her suit on, she's a WWE official, and Naomi can't lay a finger on her, or Naomi will be fired. To add insult to injury, Sonya fully slaps Naomi across the face and laughs, because Naomi can't do anything back, or else she'll be gone from WWE. So that moment put the story back on track and shows that Sonya is legitimately still evil towards Naomi. Sure, it was just the two of them in the room. There was no Adam Pearce and obviously no McMahons in the room. So maybe that's why Sonya decided to go for it and slap Naomi. But you know what was in the room? A camera that was broadcasting the entire situation on national television for everyone to see. So yes, that tiny logic flaw is continuing here. Where is a member of the McMahon family to check Sonya Deville and give her some sort of warning for hitting the talent as a WWE official? It's a bit bizarre how easy Sonya is getting away with all of this, considering the fact that all these moments of her abusing her power are literally getting documented on film as part of the show for the world to see. But no one bats an eye. The part of that storyline will forever be a bit strange. But guess you're not really supposed to think outside of the box like that. This is supposed to be all about this pure evil boss that's abusing their powers against this underdog babyface. It's a classic story we've seen many times before, but it still definitely works here in this situation. Sonya was becoming a brutal heel before her 2020 hiatus, so it does make sense that her natural heel tendencies are starting to come back up to the surface again. The only weird part is that she's only evil with Naomi. She doesn't treat anyone that bad at all. It's strictly just this hatred for Naomi and Naomi only. So that's another weird part. If Sonya treated a group of superstars the way she treats Naomi, then maybe we could say it's a jealousy thing and whatnot. But for Sonya to aim everything at one person is another strange part of the story. If Sonya's character does have a jealousy trait, then why doesn't Sonya treat someone like Charlotte the same way she treats Naomi? Lots of logic-related questions there with this entire story, but it was then announced after SmackDown that Naomi vs. Sonya Deville will take place on the December 10th edition of SmackDown. Fans are a bit skeptical about this match actually taking place because this match was booked a few months ago, but Sonya flexed her power to bend the rules. So fans feel like this match itself won't happen on that edition of SmackDown. Instead, it'll be a segment to further progress the story. And that makes sense because think about the time they invested into this story. It's been going on since summer. Doesn't make much sense to have the climax of the story on a random edition of SmackDown with no stakes at all. Considering the time they put into this story, this one-on-one match is a matchup for the Day 1 event, with maybe some sort of stipulation or something on the line. So their December 10th meeting may end up being another fake-out, and they'll actually have their match on a much bigger stage for sure. Some fans even think Sonya's trick up her sleeve this time around may be another debut or return, so we'll see how true that is as well. Speaking of returns, Brock Lesnar returned this week and had this entire mini storyline with Sami Zayn. He forcefully pressured Sami Zayn to watch his Universal title match on that edition of SmackDown. Sami finally agrees, and Brock says he'll be in Sami's corner. But before that match started, Sami made the case that Brock should help him defeat Roman for the title, because Brock has been struggling in his matches against Roman lately, and that Brock would have a much easier time taking the title away from Sami rather than Roman. Brock obviously didn't appreciate those remarks, and then proceeded to throw Sami Zayn around the ring for several minutes before walking to the back. Roman Reigns and the Bloodline come out, and there was a nice little detail here during this entrance. The Usos and Paul Heyman constantly look back towards the stage in anticipation of Brock Lesnar running out to attack Roman. It never happened, but at least they were all on high alert. Roman picks up the easy win against Sami and will now meet Brock Lesnar at Day 1. The interesting part about this story was the explanation for how Brock's suspension was lifted. Brock was actually going to tell us that story, but that's when he was interrupted by Sami Zayn. So maybe that was done by design. Maybe they don't have an explanation and that's why he was cut off. Or maybe there is a story to Brock's suspension getting lifted, and maybe he'll tell us how it got lifted at a later date. Did Paul Heyman play a role in it? That's probably what Brock would say. So we'll have to see if he ever gets back to telling that story. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Are you enjoying these storylines from SmackDown? Leave your comments, don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.